All right, go ahead, it's 8:10. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we come to you, Lord, as just citizens of Brown County, people that are in positions that you placed us to make decisions that is to do your will. Father, guide our hearts, our minds, our spirits, and our mouths, Lord, that we do and say only things that bring you honor and glory and that lift this county up. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good Tuesday morning, end of the month meeting here. We had a fairly light agenda, but there sure is a lot of paper on the desk. So bring it on. All right. The first thing we have is on our agenda is county personnel or public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Sure. How long here? We got somebody at 8:30. So 10 minutes, 5 minutes,
Yeah,
10 minutes? Okay. What do you want to talk about? So like non-elected personnel,
Yeah.
what? Duties? Duties, okay. Sounds good. Well, I move, we go into executive session with the three commissioners, our county clerk and Jerry Heisel, road foreman, Jerry Heisel. Do you want her? Do you want Nikki, I guess?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, she does so much of our HR stuff. For 10 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel and duties. Is there a second?
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. We'll reconvene at 8:23. send me a message if you do think of something, or email back. All right, thank you. Okay, we're out of executive session. We're back into regular with no binding action taken. We still have a little time for public comment if there's any. I don't think there is, so we will, oh,
Some of this stuff I was gonna talk about was, I didn't think it'd be,
you don't need to be an executive.
I guess, on these permits for them guys board their utilities and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I think you guys need to make them a little more specific. Because we've got utility poles, we got fiber optic cable running right down the middle of our ditches. So in the future, if it comes to cleaning out a ditch, you're gonna have to deal with all these problems with these utilities putting their stuff basically right at the bottom of the ditch. And I don't know if you guys can make that a little, maybe put a little more information in, that they need to stay away from the ditch, or even putting in tubes. If they've got it right along the edge of the road and you put a tube in, you gotta fight that. So if they could get that moved back to the fence line, that would make a lot of it, make it a lot handier for in the future.
I think when we, like, a utility exchange something, we need to come out and permission or contact us, please, to tell us what's going on, not just think that.
And it would probably be in the county's interest too, to have somebody check on them as they do it. Just, I mean, granted, there's, you know, not a lot of people that will be able to do that, but somebody from the road department can drive out and at least check with them once a week or whatever, every couple of days, to make sure they're doing it like it ought to be done.
So it said something in there about a minimum depth. With that,
The depth. The minimum depth should be probably 4 foot.
does it say 5?
Or 5, whatever it
It
is,
says-
because most of the time,
But that's when it crosses.
your smaller tubes, you could get by with that. And even if they put it in the bottom of the ditch, majority of the time, that's deep enough that you're not gonna have to worry about either. But the utility poles on 270s that they put in, there's a lot of that right in the middle of the ditch. So in the future, when they go clean the ditches out, they're gonna be digging out around the utility poles.
Oh, well, I guess I haven't been up there. You'd said something about that.
Yeah, they're too close. And then we need to make it so
It ought to be clear up against the property fence, in my opinion.
folks are, we need to make our right of ways wider so that they can get it back.
Well, that company would have surveyed that before they spotted them, wouldn't they have? The utility company? Normally they do. Yeah, I mean, that's,
They didn't come and ask us anything, and I've talked to them when they put the poles from up on the goldfinch along that road and telling them, try to get them to move back further, and they had private right of ways along there, but still they just went back in the same place they were before.
and what utility company? Is it Evergy? Is it Evergy? Okay.
And so we've got an issue down on Falcon now, that RAA that's boring that fiber optic cable on their reservation.
Mhm.
They've got 4 of them junction boxes that they're not any farther than that off the edge of the road. So you know what's gonna happen when we're pushing snow. And I'll meet with that guy at 10 o'clock. They're supposed to move them back, because I'll guarantee you, if we tear them up, the county will be responsible for the paying.
So why would they want to place stuff closer to the road in the?
He told me the county give him a 3 to 8 foot easement, put that in. And I asked him who the county told you that, he never would tell me, give me anybody's name, he just said somebody in the courthouse.
3 to 8 foot easement.
3 to 8 foot easement to bore that cable. And see, they've got spots that they're even probably out of their 8 foot easement, if you want to get technical. If you go up by Curtis Winger's house, they actually live on the backside of the post up there, pretty close to it. And then there's other places, they're right up along the edge of the road, and the boxes are sitting right there. That one box is actually about 1.5 inches, 2 inches high. So anyway.
I don't make any sense.
But I think they don't have any cable in them yet, so I think they will.
Okay, well, I appreciate you finding that out. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense why they would do that, but so many things don't make any sense.
Well, the guy that's putting them in, he said, well, you guys actually get this far off the road when you're pushing snow, and he's from Colorado.
Will they mark them with plastic posts or anything? Not at all.
They tell you he's from Colorado, their trucks are from Colorado, but I thought most of the work.
Two guys I've talked to are from Colorado,
I thought. he was-
because I talked to him yesterday, because I was supposed to meet with him yesterday, and he said, well, he got a late start coming back, so he wouldn't get back till today. So,
Yeah, and one time they was going up by and they were wanting to go up over the tube instead of going.
they need to go under, they need to go under the tubes too,
And he-
not through them.
They told me they were trying to get permission. I don't know who they got permission from. They,
Did you bring this? You want that back?
I just give that back to him. I just brought that in for him.
Okay,
And then that's something you guys can look at. That's just, they get that every year from Ben's Brothers on the rocks. On the hot sample from the chicken soup.
oh, okay. That is what we allowed ring.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
Well, he's next on our list. He walked out. Well, what do you guys think about? You got something? What should we do on right away stuff? How the heck do we?
I suggested that we reach the right way, don't let it go at one time, but. But keeping the stuff out. I don't know. To me, we had this thing from Evergy that they want to put sidewalks down in the county over there. Turning back.
He is. We'll just ask him.
But, I called him, but he never got back with me. He said it wasn't his. These other poles wasn't in his division, but he was only supposed to be finding somebody that could. Was, but they never got back.
Hey, good morning, Austin. Can you hear
Good
us?
morning. Yes, I can.
Right on. We were just discussing utilities and our agreements as far as placing them on county right of way. And had a road and bridge foreman, District 3 here to I guess inform us they're putting utility companies are putting some things in the way that we're going to hit with our snow plows. Maybe not putting them in the right spots around our tubes, utility poles closer to the road and in the ditches now where maybe they didn't need to be, and trying to make our document have a little more teeth and be more precise as to where lines, poles, et cetera, could be placed.
So that's a very good segue. And, I've looked at the Evergy easement. Nikki, thank you for sending that over, by the way. And she sent all the exhibits, everything. So I looked through it and it does have, if we're trying to basically accomplish the right of way, allowing people to come in when they need to, that works. With that, there is a provision in there that, if they harm anything when they install equipment within the right of way, then they have to pay to replace that. So if they were putting a pole, like let's say in the Fairview right of way easement, and that interfered with one of our utilities, they would have to pay to replace it. So that's on them. But the other thing that we could do that we've done elsewhere is a right of way permit process. And basically what that is a little one pager that says, here, you can go on ahead and put what you want to put in the right of way, but we're going to give you a permit, and you have to get a permit issuance to go on ahead and use our right of way. And if you get that permit issuance, it's going to come with conditions, like you can't put it within 5 foot of the road, okay, or not in the ditch. And so I like using those things because if you've got, like, let's say somebody needs to bore underneath the road. Okay, like you gotta do a bore to get across from one end to the other. You put in the right of way permit. Hey, if you're gonna do that, you need to go down so many feet, and you need to do it in this area. Okay, so I like having a little right of way permit process because it outlines it a little bit more. We've done it a lot elsewhere. Doesn't add a lot of administrative burden, I don't think. At least it's. Do we?
But we have to add something to it.
Just modify it.
Yeah.
Just modify it? Okay. Well, there you have it. Then I would
just, I'm gonna be very rude here. We have an 8:30 on the agenda, an executive session with, we don't.
You're not being rude.
Listen,
No.
you sure? Okay, all right, never mind. He yields his time to you. How's that?
Oh, thank you. Yes. But no, I would just update the right of way process a little bit to make sure that they don't put it. When you give them a permit, identify the areas you don't want it to be, and we're good.
Okay, so he's Doug Bletcher in the back room here. Doug, would you have some suggestions that we could actually, maybe some that you could write down on that document that we need to
Yeah.
and we could send it to Austin and he could make it an official, change? Yeah, if you had something like the pole placement in the ditch and things like that, write it down and he'll transfer it into lawyer language and we'll go from there.
So
Yes, sir.
my thing is, if they replace a line or put a new line in, just because they had permission 20 years ago, I think they need to get new permission for a new installation.
Anything new, they're gonna have to get a new right of way permit. If they're maintaining the old, okay, then they're allowed still in there underneath the old. It's kind of like it's like marriage, I guess, in that way that you had to speak or would speak then on if they're just gonna replace the existing line or maintain it. But if they're gonna put a whole new line in, even in the same place, then they have to get a new right of way permit. So if they're just like maintaining bits and pieces of it, then they probably don't need to. Although we could change our right of way permitting process that says if they're ever going to do any maintenance on it, okay, that they have to come get a permit too. We can do that. A lot of places do that. So we can. I'm just saying it's probably not set up that way right now without having it in front of me, but we can make it that way.
Is there a problem with putting them on the property owner?
No.
Cause that would be ideal if they could do that.
Oh, that they have to get
As far as
the
fiber optic cables, water lines and that stuff, the poles, the utility poles would be better if they were out, say at the fence line. And not.
so for the utility
Everything
company.
out of the ditch for future. Ditch cleaning and maintenance or whatever, that'd be a whole lot nicer for the next guys that got to it.
So there's the energy companies, and I don't usually have this stuff. I'm not sure that I have the exact statute still memorized, but the energy companies came through, they've got one great lobby. And that lobby said that they can use any right of way or easement to put in, and they can use our poles. So to put in their utility infrastructure equipment, they got that through back in 2005, and then they updated it about 10 years ago. So we're required to let them use our utility, but we can give them a placement agreement. So we can go that far, but we can't kick them out all the way because they didn't. That's something that they didn't want to let that happen. So we have to let them in.
Austin, Doug mentioned maybe have someone inspect what these placements when a project is going to make sure the lines, whatever utilities are where they are supposed to be. The county currently doesn't have, a real setup for doing that. How do we make that happen?
So what I would do is in your right of way permit process, say that we're going to pay staff time for, it's kind of like they would use a flagger. If we're doing something with the railroad, we want whoever with county ops can be out there to make sure that we're not messing with our right of way. They pay us to have somebody out there while they're messing with our right of way. I would make that a requirement. Okay. That we have somebody that's inspecting to make sure that they're doing that.
We check on them.
Okay. So, but he would try to put language in our document that says, essentially we would do it and they would pay for the.
We keep track of them, checking if they're doing their stuff down all right.
Sure.
That's how we found when we got it underneath the road over here.
Well, and that's what you're doing with those boxes too. We don't have anything on paper. Just a system, basically policy. So
Yeah.
You're taking notes on all this and we can send you, can we send him the cover sheet from that You already did. Nikki's one step ahead of me, so she's gonna send.
Nikki,
you
yeah, thank you.
on our permit process or permit, whatever, and we can make whatever changes. That we discussed.
Yep, I'm happy to do that, but I think having the ability to, I'll double check against state statute to make sure that they try to get rid of a little bit more of our authority every year, it seems like, with the it's really the telecommunications company. It's not so much Evergy, but the cell phone lobby wants to be able to use our stuff for whatever. So I'll double check to make sure we can put all the controls in that we want. And I'll bring back something. I could have it for next week. So
Okay.
on our right of way permit process, I'll take a look at it and go from there.
Okay.
And on the Evergy easement that we have, that's up for today, I don't want to get ahead of it, but we can put some of that stuff in there if you want. They're asking us for an easement. Okay, Evergy is, and so we could put more conditions in their standard easement form that says, hey, not only if you're interfering with something, you know, here's the location and we don't want it to be adjacent to these things when you're putting your poles up. But part of that, they'll start to balk at it a little bit. If Evergy likes to, you know what I'm about to say, before I say it, Evergy likes to pretend like they're God and we're everybody else is with Evergy in that order. So we have to be a little careful with that, but we can do some things there if we need to.
Okay. What do you think? That's right next to your building in there too. So do you have some concerns with that? Did you see the map all of the building? Not really?
Not really, it's not. There at the building, there's nothing really there.
Okay,
Can only refer to Mills did, I think, but
okay. Well, might be. a
Then
good-
we can talk about that when that comes.
So you looked at this Evergy thing. Is there a time, I mean, is there a timeline on this? Or is it, do we have time to change, to modify it? Maybe that'd be our test case for our new document as far as utility placement.
I didn't see that they didn't say that this was the drop dead date. Nikki, did they give you a time that they said, oh, I really want this done or that done when they were sending it over? It's Evergy, so they're slow anyway.
Oh, really?
So what I would do is I could go back to Evergy and say, look, we're gonna make this subject to our right of way permit process. Okay, because we're gonna grant this, and then I would just say, look, there's one line we want to add. This is subject to obtaining a right of way permit. We're giving you this easement, okay, but you're getting an easement in our right of way. So here, and then the permit process will come back to you guys. And that permit, you can say, add the 2 or 3 things that you want to have there. This is adjacent to our normal right of way. Okay, this is a different tract of land on our regular, isn't that right? Am I right, Doug? I looked at the map. It's not totally in the regular part of the right of way. Is that right?
This is actually in the city of Fairview. So it's not really on our street, on our road. This is just our property.
That's what I was thinking. It's adjacent to the road. Like it's not really, it's just in the city. So what we could do, I could even come back and say, I'll just add some of the language that we're going to add into the right of way permit as I'm doing that. So that way they don't have to get a separate permit since it's not really in our right of way. And so I'll just, I'll add some of the language there to make sure that specifically it's not interfering with other utility or other placement. And that when they're making the installation, they need to have one of our guys on site and so that we can go on ahead and make sure that nothing's interfering with our stuff on property and let them pay for that at an hourly rate. Does that sound good?
Yes. What do you think? Yeah, okay. Sounds fine. What about if a utility places something, our guy wasn't there and they place it wrong? Are we able to remedy that, correct that in any way? Should we reserve the right to make a move? I'm talking about, there's some power poles on this new road that are right in the ditches. Now, maybe that was perfectly fine according to our old document, but if something like that happens in the future, does Brown County, do we have the ability to make them do it right or do it according to our specs?
So what I would do is add that into the right of way permitting process. First thing is pay for flaggers on site, not interfere with other utilities and infrastructure. Placement determined by county, okay? Placement maps. So one of the things that they don't usually do, that they should do, if they were in a larger jurisdiction, they would say, well, here's where we're gonna put what we're putting in the right of way. They'd give you like, this is what we're gonna put our. A lot of places don't always require that, okay, out, you know, out in the rural area. Okay, so they could go on ahead and do that. But we could also say if we have the right to require them to move the item if they didn't check with us. So I'm gonna say right of relocation. Relocation to county if placement was not prior approved. And confirmed with county personnel on site. Yep, I do think that's very reasonable. And that also gets you in the middle of it. I mean, this isn't like, we don't want to go so far because we're like in between. When my grandfather was helping climb up trees to electrify Sumner County back 90 years ago, you know, they climbed up the tree, he threw an anchor in the side of the tree and we put a line up. You know, we're also not Wichita where with everything they have like all this GIS mapping and a bunch of stuff we don't need to have. So we don't want to go too far, but we want to make sure that our guys are there. And if they don't check with us first, okay, then they may have to move. So that's how I'll set it up. I'll make it in between. Does that make sense?
Can you put something in there too, Austin, that any improperly like located item, Doug mentioned a telephone box, a junction box, a big plastic thing that right on the edge of the road that looks like it's a perfect spot to hit with a snowplow. So if we hit something or damage something that's not in the right place, that's, I mean, how do we, I don't know what the legal term is, but how do we protect ourselves from that too?
Any improperly located item that is damaged by the county is not something that the county is liable. So I do think that that's how I would frame it. Okay, I would just basically, and then also, you know, there's some level of, you know, we're using this road right of way, so they have an easement over our road right of way. So if somebody were to come back and say, well, you damaged it, I'd go and say, well, you're using our you put an easement over our road right of way and your easement is subject to our road right of way. Now, whether that holds mustard, okay, we want to put that in. So what I want to do is I want to say in the right of way permit moving forward, I want to make it clear that if there's damage or something that comes to where they place stuff, that it's on them, not on us.
So Doug's showing us pictures on his phone of this plastic telephone box that's
Yeah.
maybe like a foot or two away from the road edge. You know, if they didn't hit it with the plow, you might hit it with the grader when you were scraping the edges back, and you would hit it. So,
That's the worst.
yeah,
That's right south of the end of the park.
okay.
And it is, right, it's, I mean,
It's
actually an inch higher than the road,
But is it on the reservation?
it's on the reservation, but
That's where we.
it's on Falcon, that we take care of.
We take care of. I know, we take care of roads up there too. But
Unless-
it's still their reservation, though, so they probably have worked with them on the location, so.
That's what I'm gonna find out.
That's gonna probably be the sticky area that you'll get into.
So the background, I don't know if you can hear us, some of these boxes are located on the Kickapoo Reservation. And there might be another set of, they're all on the reservation, so there's another government entity maybe that they're working with too, that we've got to partner with to make sure.
So, yeah, so what's interesting about that is the Kickapoo. I talked about God earlier, and I'm not trying to make this totally about, you know, the references to the divine and the way that people work, but these nations are like sovereign nations. Okay, so when we need to look back at the agreement for maintenance with them. Okay, so what we need to say is that and we may have to update this, but if we're going to do maintenance, the way that we do maintenance with any other government entity, we enter into what's called an interlocal agreement under KSA 122904, and that allows us to have a joint agreement where they do road maintenance and then we outline responsibilities and they pay us back, okay, for it. or at least they should pay us back some money since we're doing maintenance with them. Well, what you do in the agreement is you say, look, if you had stuff that you allowed to be constructed in your road right of way and we hit it, we're not liable for that. And you guys are gonna have to reimburse us. Okay, so, and we can do it in any type of a setting. So just, and I'm just throwing this out there for background. Let's say we're doing, Doug, let's say we're doing, we need to do something with the township. You know, we've got a local township that's not getting greater of where it needs to be. So we enter into an interlocal agreement with them where it's, and this is different than just us taking it over under state statute or anything like that. This is us just saying, look, if you need some help grading, we'll help you. This is what it's going to be every time we do it. Okay. And then if there's any damage or anything in the road right of way that's there while we're grading it, you're going to reimburse us. Okay. So that's kind of and we use this. I'll give you an example of where you see these types of things all the time, like rural fire. Okay, so let's say you got the fire district and they back each other up. Okay, so they'll if they put it in writing, they'll put like an interlocal agreement where here's a backup and we'll go to runs one way or the other.
I mean, it sounds good. Sounds so,
Yeah.
so an interlocal agreement with the tribes in the county. I mean, we could try to come to an understanding just for our own, like our mutual benefit. You know, we got roads running through there. We don't want our crews causing any damage. I'm sure they don't want our crews causing any damage either. We just need to kind of get a working agreement so we get these things placed where they need to be. Should be fairly friendly. Should be fairly easy to accomplish, I would think, right?
Yes, and I just sent a request to share my screen because sometimes I rattle stuff up and it's hard to visualize what it would be like. Okay, good. So I'll show you here what the statute I'm talking about is. Okay. Go share. All right, this is it's an old statute, okay, but and I've got it zoomed in 122904. You can see interlocal agreements by public agency specification. It goes to the Attorney General, but you can use them for just about anything. Okay. And it says any public agency may enter into agreements with one or more public or private agencies for joint cooperative action pursuant to the provisions of this act. And then right down here, any public agency with Native American Indian tribes. Such agreement shall be considered to be an interlocal agreement and shall be subject to the procedures of the Interlocal Cooperation Act. So that is that's the state statute that says we can do this. Okay, so we just enter into a little agreement with them and outline responsibilities underneath that. So if we don't have one already, I can talk with the tribe and start working on that, put that on the to-do list.
Okay. Got anything else, Doug?
Just like to,
You still want your 10 minutes, okay. Okay,
personnel.
okay. So I think, are you good on this? I mean, seemed pretty thorough. So you're gonna come up with some paperwork. We'll have it by the next meeting or thereabouts and and you'll even reach out to the tribes. Or I guess you need to do some research on what we already have in place. We may have something in place already.
Yeah, and maybe I'll work with Nikki and we can Nikki, you and I can chat about where we might find an interlocal agreement back in the dungeon of records if we have one. If not, if there's whoever our contract is at the tribe, it doesn't really matter if we don't find it because we can always do one, do a new one, and they don't have to be that difficult. So it'll take a little time because once we get it done and drafted, it goes to the Attorney General for review and approval, and they've gotten more. They like to see them. So what we'll do is come up with a draft. I'll send it to the Attorney General's office. They'll bless it, and then it'll come back.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
so now that's wonderful. The next thing on our agenda is an executive session.
10 minutes.
For non-elected personnel for conduct, pay, performance, duties, for conduct. Okay, good. Is it, I mean, we'd like to have our county council. Is he all right to be honored?
Yeah, I think so.
And the commissioners?
So.
Okay,
So normally I have to shut off the microphone camera for him to be president. I would need to stop the recording and then start the second one.
And that's fine. I can also call in. But I would probably technically stop the recording for these 10 minutes and then resume the recording afterwards, Dallas, if that makes sense. If not, we can, I can also, you can just put it all on mute and then I can call, Chairman Hyman's phone and, just be put on speaker. Either way works.
I can stop it for
He says he'll stop the recording. Okay.
Sounds
well,
good.
I'll make a motion. We go into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel conduct with the 3 commissioners, road foreman Doug Fletcher, county clerk, and county council Austin Parker. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we're in. We'll come back out about 9:04, give or take. So Dallas is working on the tech here.